Hello everyone and welcome to my channel. I am Random Guy on YouTube and today I'm going to talk about company that has a drug that can literally change your skin color. Yes, you heard me right. This company has a drug that can repigment the skin of people with vitiligo, a condition that affects millions of people around the world. The company I'm talking about is Incyte, a global biopharmaceutical company that was founded in 1991 as a genomics research company and later transformed into a drug discovery and development company. Incyte has its headquarters in Delaware and Switzerland, and its drugs are used in dermatology, oncology, and hematology. Incyte's main product is Jakafi, which is approved in the US and other countries for the treatment of patients with certain types of blood cancers such as myelofibrosis and polycythemia vera. Jakafi is also being studied for other indications. The active ingredient of Jakafi is ruxolitinib, which is also used in a form of cream under the commercial name Opzelura. Opzelura is a very new drug, and it is the first drug that can be used for repigmentation of patients with vitiligo. Vitiligo is a skin condition that causes patches of skin to lose their pigment and become white. It affects millions of people in the US and tens of millions worldwide. It can cause psychological distress and social stigma for those who have it. Here is an example of two patients and how their conditions improved after 52 weeks of using Opzelura. What an amazing change! This new drug sells like crazy, with the sales growth of more than 300% in the last quarter year over year. It is exciting that Opzelura was recently approved for usage in Europe as well. Other drugs from Incyte include Pemazyre, Minjuvi, and Iclusig. Incyte also receives more than $100 million as royalties for Jakavi, which is basically the same as Jakafi but sells outside of the US, Olumiant, and Tabrecca. This goes directly to the bottom line of the company. Incyte's drugs are not easily replaceable by generic alternatives or competitors' products. They have strong patent protection and market exclusivity for their drugs until at least 2026 or beyond. Incyte invests hundreds of millions of dollars into research each quarter. The company currently focuses on new indications for these 8 drugs with high potential and these other early clinical programs. This means that they have a strong pipeline of future products that could generate more revenue and profits in the long run. Now let's look at some financials. The revenue growth is quite fast, but it isn't really exponential, more like linear, no matter how I try to fit the exponential curve. Even so, you could say that the compounded annual growth of revenue in the last 5 years was around 10%. If I project the growth linearly forward, I get the orange curve and $945 million in revenue in Q2 2023 and $3,671 million in the whole fiscal year 2023. However, if the sales of Opzelura really kick in, we can be looking at a reinvigorated growth rate. The operating margin deteriorated slightly in the last 2 quarters. The increased spending was driven primarily by promotional activities to support Opzelura. Incyte is easily able to throw millions of dollars into marketing without breaking a sweat. Incyte also spends $400 to $500 million each year for R&D. In the recent earnings presentation, the company's guidance indicated slightly lower spending in the future, which would result in higher profitability. I expect the margin recovery, which is plotted in orange. Here is quarterly and yearly earnings per share chart in blue. This is on non-adjusted basis, so this bump is just some one-time tax effect. In orange are my projections: 91 cents of EPS in Q2 2023 and $2.34 of EPS in fiscal year 2023. On websites like finviz.com, you can find next year EPS of $4.69, which is more than double of my estimate. And I don't understand how this could be possible unless they expect some non-operating one-time income. Maybe they know something I don't, or maybe they are just too optimistic. The company has almost no long-term debt and $3 billion cash on hand. They are prepared for anything. Trailing 12 months PE is 45, my predicted 2023 forward PE is 28, and unless you count the crazy PE of 14 by finviz.com, this company doesn't look cheap at all. However, $3 billion out of that $14 billion market capitalization is just cash. Then there are royalties of more than $450 million each year, which they could get even if the company suddenly stopped operating. And finally, they could get crazy profitable anytime they want with reduced R&D spending. They instead choose to invest in the future, which is even better. Suddenly, the company doesn't seem too expensive. The share price dropped by 54% since the top in 2017. Meanwhile, the company 4x their revenue and become profitable. The price-to-sales ratio is at 4.2, which is at historic lows. To summarize, Incyte's revenue compound annual growth was 10% in the last 5 years. The growth is very stable and predictable, even though it is slowing over time. The growth could be reinvigorated by the new drug Opzelura, which is the only drug of its kind and has a large addressable market. The company also invests heavily into R&D. Incyte is a profitable company with PE of 45 and forward PE of 28, but with reduced spending it could become a cash machine. Price-to-sales ratio of 4.2 is the lowest in history. The company is flush with cash and prepared for anything. Now let's look at my portfolio. The only index that was up last week was Nasdaq. Since the start of the year, my portfolio is up $122, Nasdaq fund $117, and it is back and forth between those two. Other indices are not even a competition. S&P fund gained $51 and Russell 2000 fund lost $84 since the start of the year. As a reminder, these charts track S&P 500, Nasdaq and Russell 2000 indices as if we invested $100 into them each week, and I use them as a benchmark for my portfolio. Today I am adding $100 of shares of Incyte into my virtual portfolio at the Friday's closing price of $65.28. The full portfolio table is published at the end of the video. Now let me remind you that I am just a random guy on YouTube and not a financial advisor, and this video is not a financial advice. Even though this is only a virtual portfolio, I do own shares of Incyte in my real stock portfolio. For those of you who are still watching, thank you for your time and attention. I appreciate your support and feedback. Here is an average price change of all of my positions, X amount of weeks after the purchase. And here is the full portfolio table with each week's prices. You can see how much I invested in each stock and how much they are worth now. Let me know what you think about Incyte or any other stock that you are interested in or invested in. I would love to hear your thoughts and opinions. That's all from me. Thank you for watching and see you next week.